There is a bunch of men who actually believe if feminists really did care about equality, we would be fighting for men's rights just the same. I stand by the fact that I'm a feminist who believes in equal rights for everyone.
You don't care about mandatory paternity tests.
So that's number one. Feminists don't care about mandated paternity tests. I didn't realise this was an issue of rights for men because as far as I'm aware, they legally can get a paternity test. So I'm not even really sure what men think we need to be fighting for. What rights? If men already have the right to get a paternity test, what rights do they need us to fight for? If they are seeking to mandate all women and force every single woman to have a DNA test, it was always about men wanting to take away something from women. That's what the word mandated means. It's going to be the law. I don't understand the male logic behind this of forcing women to do something just so that you can do something that you can do anyway.
You don't care about paternity fraud.
I do care about paternity fraud. In Australia, if you deliberately defraud somebody, you have to pay back all the money. They absolutely should have a fraud conviction or go to jail, have to pay the money back, be treated like any other type of fraud. So yes, as a feminist, I absolutely do care about paternity fraud. How come men are not out in the streets protesting this?
You don't care about male suicide rates.
Again, it makes sense that women would care about male suicide rates. After all, we are mothers, friends to men that commit suicide. I think everybody cares about male suicide. But in Australia, there is actually heaps of support. Different programs have been started. In Australia, though, we don't make it an argument about who cares more, men or women. That is absolutely ridiculous. We all absolutely care equally. We have something in Australia called the Black Dog, highlighting awareness with men's mental health issues. The one thing, though, that men who actually use this statistic against women have never gone and looked at the statistics properly to realise that even though, yes, more men do commit suicide than women, that 3 times as many women try to kill themselves than men. So yeah, to say that women don't care about men's mental health in an equal way, while we have to also care about our mental health. Yeah, on the other hand, men have never given women's mental health issues a second thought. There's the equality in that.
You don't care about equalizing hard, laborious jobs outside.
You can really actually just tell that these men don't actually know what equal rights mean. Men are like, wow, women wanted equality. Well, how come they are not begging and making sure that male-dominated workplaces aren't now 50% men and 50% women? That's what this guy is referring to, that women don't care, that labourous workplaces are still typically all men. Well, again, having equal rights means everyone gets to choose what sort of job they want or where they work and pick jobs on their abilities and skills and interests. Not every single man has worked in a laborious job. Equal rights is not about making sure every single space in the world has 50% men and 50% women in it. If you think, though, that women should be enforced into laborious jobs to make workplace numbers 50-50 because you think women should have to work the same jobs as some men, fair and equal, that would mean every man would also have to go and do a job that was laborious. No, you were right. No, I don't care about that issue because that's not an issue.
You don't care about what happens to people that are falsely accused, which is almost always exclusively men.
Of course we care if people are being falsely accused. Do you think that's good for women? For women to have other women falsely accuse men when women have spent so many years wanting to be listened to and believed and heard absolutely affects women just as much. And yes, I actually think people that falsely accuse somebody will be imprisoned for as much time as somebody who would have been convicted of that crime.
You don't actually care about the declining school performance, the rise in ADHD diagnosis, and the psychiatric medication that comes from it.
I keep thinking when it comes to some of these ideas from men, are you forgetting that the boys in school that are getting looked after by women who will care and do care? In the last decade, schools have really stopped working for most kids. I think most teachers will tell you that. I used to actually work in a school and kindy for 12 years. Teachers themselves are still absolutely passionate. The system has not worked for a while and society changes, and I think it's just going to take a while for schools to catch up and start doing better for our kids. As for stating that we don't care about an increase in boys being diagnosed with ADHD, again, another thing you're not recognising, these boys who have been diagnosed with ADHD have actually been the lucky ones for the last few decades, because boys with autism and ADHD were getting diagnosed. On the other hand, girls were not. So I had to wait until I was in my 40s to actually go and get assessed and find out that I have ADHD. So now what we've found in the last couple of years is a whole bunch of women that have gone undiagnosed for years. End of the day, me as a feminist, I'm the one that knows what's going on with boys and girls when it comes to ADHD. And this guy obviously has no idea when it comes to women and ADHD. He just proves that he's the one that doesn't care about equality and both genders. I wonder if he even realizes women can get ADHD.
From it. You don't care about the lack of homeless shelters for men.
I've heard lots of men online, especially the red pill ones, bring up the fact that there's all these homeless men, and that shows that men have it harder than women, that there are no shelters for men and there are only shelters for women. I thought to myself, hang on, how often do people in general care about the homeless issue? I watch men and women walk past homeless people all the time. These men are using it as a point of reference that men have it harder, but I wonder how many times they've walked past a homeless person and not given them $5. How many homeless shelters they've donated to. I wonder how many soup kitchens they've volunteered at. And I wonder if they've ever actually looked at the stats that would have told them that women in the last few years have literally caught up to the amount of men that are homeless. I'm a feminist. I was aware that there are equal amounts of homeless shelters for men and women. It's another irony from this man. He expects feminists to actually care more about an issue that is affecting men more than men actually care about this issue.
For men, you don't care about the weaponization of the family court, the equal custodial rights.
In Australia, men have the exact same rights as women when it comes to custody of their children. I looked at the stats, and in Australia, 97% of custody cases are sorted before it even makes it to court. In Australia, a child has a right to their parents. It's not about the parents' rights. So as a feminist, I don't have to fight for that equal right in my country. But in America, I did do a bit of research, and in America, I noticed each state has different laws. So one might be 60-40, a couple that are 50-50. But what's interesting is the states that actually have those laws, they've actually found that men never take their full amount of custody. If they get 50%, they don't take the full 50%. I don't know exactly what I would be fighting for. The fact that you have court systems full of male judges, male lawyers, and a lot of male lawmakers makes me wonder why none of the men in your country are doing anything about changing these laws. The last few times I saw a guy online complaining that he didn't have his children and he lost them in court. Both of those men admitting to not having jobs, doing drugs every day, and not having a home. So it's like, that's why you didn't get custody of your kids, not because you're a male.
Reproductive safe for men.
And I could not believe when I heard him say reproductive safe for men. women don't care about reproductive safe for men. When women have spent the last 100 years trying to get help when it comes to our reproductive organs, when it comes to contraception. Every woman who can have a child is on some hormonal type contraception that actually affects her hormones every day. I've never heard a man talk about how awful it must be for women to have a marina, to have to take the pill. All those hormone contraceptions also affect our moods, our weight, everything. And yet this man is going to say that feminists don't really care about men and women equally because we haven't cared about men's reproductive safety, in other words, their contraception issues. So there's an extra little story that really makes that comment even more wonderful, is the fact that when the pill was first designed, they made one for men, and they realised that when men took it and they drank alcohol, it made them feel a bit sick. So they stopped that straight away. I've never even thought about making another pill for men because of that one incident. So instead, they made a pill for women that they didn't even really test. They tested it secretly. They sent it out to a whole bunch of women who did, of course, have side effects, such as nausea, headaches, mood swings, we've learnt later, blood clots, a whole bunch of stuff. But of course, the doctors didn't care because it was women. Women put up with that from the time they're about 11 to when they're 50. And this man honestly wants to sit there feeling victimised that feminists have not put in as much effort to asking the doctors if they're going to start even thinking about maybe making a pill for men.
Reduction in child support and alimony,
I don't really understand that alimony stuff because we don't have alimony in Australia. But as for her caring and wanting to help men have lower child support payments, is this guy kidding? The amount of men that I know have never been made to pay even a cent. I know and have heard many different amounts of maintenance, and a lot of the time they are laughable. Yes, there are a lot of good men that pay high amounts of maintenance. But no, why would feminists as a whole start a movement to try and reduce child support payments for all dads?
Of just men and masculinity in general, negative attitudes towards even men that want a nuclear family.
Starts off saying feminists don't really care about equality because we don't care about these rights that men don't have. And then he was unable to name any actual rights that men don't have. Most of the things he said, women suffer more. He had no facts. They weren't points that showed that men or boys or males were suffering more than women. And certainly nothing was about men actually not having a legal equal right. Nothing. There's literally nothing. Like, wow.
You don't think or care about any of these things.
Mm.
And I'm not even saying it's just the feminists that don't care about it.
Nobody
I'm
has.
saying
Yeah.
most people who don't do what I do don't care about this at all.
See, that's the problem with people. They say things one way and they want to back off later down the track. He starts off, these were all things that feminists didn't care about, and ends it with, well, you know, most people don't care about this stuff. He didn't mention one thing that is happening to men that needs awareness, and he didn't actually mention anything that I would have thought that women in general could help him with. Again, these aren't issues, but so at the end of the day, I actually just think that the men that are talking, that the men that are speaking out for men's rights don't actually know what rights are. I don't think they understand the rights that women and feminists actually fought for. We're actually fighting to get the same rights as men. the same legal rights, the same medical rights. At the end of the day, the only issue he brought up that I do think men in America must be having lots of problems with is how their divorces are being handled in courts. Sounds like the court system is making heaps of money, all those divorce lawyers and stuff like that. But that's not something women did to men, and it's not something that women control, and it's not something that women can fix by themselves. So there you have it anyway. That is the rights that men are talking about online. They're the issues that men think they have. So flabbergasted to think that there are men who I have been listening to and me thinking that there must be some actual men's rights that they don't have. And now realizing that that's it. That's the list. Those are the things that women aren't caring enough about men about. Proven in this video that feminists are definitely the ones that care about equality, and the men who hate feminists, they're the ones that definitely don't care about equality. Men online have absolutely no idea what women's issues are. So yeah, the next time I have a red pill guy say, oh, you're a feminist, you don't care, I'm going to know there's just nothing to care about. If you got this far, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this guy and his list of the men's rights that he thinks feminists don't care about and should be caring about. Thanks heaps for watching. Bye for now.